Hey guys, Scorch here, and this is my first video using my new editing software, so this should be fun. When I first got my 360 back in Christmas of '07, there was one game I needed to have. Gears of War, obviously, but for good measure I also bought Dead Rising, and I still have both games, which really is a testament to how good they are, because no one in high school told me not to sell my old games, that I might regret it, that I'll miss my PlayStation 2. That Time Splitters 4 was never going to be made. Yeah, I know about Time Splitters Rewind, but come on. But anyway, let's talk about Dead Rising.
Everyone died?!
Frank West is a photojournalist who receives a tip that something big was happening in the town of Willamette. So he hires a private helicopter pilot to get him there, and that quickly pays off as they fly right past the military's roadblock into the town. Inside they find what appears to be the fallout of a large-scale riot, with signs of cannibalism. After they get some pictures of the downtown street, they head to the focal point of the town, its mall. And I gotta say, that sounds miserable, just having a mall for entertainment.
Sometimes Dad is better.
As they approach the mall, suddenly the military decides it's time to do their job and tries to dispose of them. Wanting the scoop, Frank decides to stay behind, telling the pilot to return in 3 days before he jumps to the roof. Why the helicopters didn't notice him jump, how the pilot escaped, and how the pilot returns after the military has 3 days to lock down the town all defy logic. But hey, that's just military intelligence. Inside the mall, Frank heads to the main entrance where he finds survivors setting up a barricade. He gets told to help gather items, and he goes to do just that. While Frank's away, an old woman discovers that her poodle is outside chilling with the zombies, so she quickly ruins the barricade and gets herself eaten, causing the death of everyone in the plaza. You know, the way old people do. But from the back of the plaza, Frank fights his way past the zombies to get back to the security room, where you are now introduced to the 3 other constant characters in the game. Otis the janitor, and Jessica and Brad from Homeland Security. As Frank enters, Brad has Otis seal the door so that the zombies can't follow. This leaves the air ducts as the only way back in and out of the mall. Brad heads out, leaving the rookie Jessica to talk to Frank. When they talk, Frank notices that Jessica takes an interest in a survivor's picture that he has on his camera. Sensing that something's up, Frank decides to re-enter the mall to search for the cause of this outbreak. On his way out, Frank receives a radio and a map from Otis. He heads through the storage and is about to re-enter the mall when he hears a noise coming up behind him. Assuming it's a zombie, he springs into action, causing Jessica to fall back, spraining her leg. She tells him that Brad needs help in the food court, and Frank offers to go in her place. So she agrees and just hands Frank her gun to help. Now this battle is supposed to be a shootout, but... oh gosh!
You help me, I help you.
Dead Rising focuses on a survive-at-all-costs mentality as you use anything and everything as a weapon in your attempts to fight off psychopaths, save survivors, and complete missions throughout the mall. The pilot returns in 3 days, with the game having a timer of 1 day for every 2 real-life hours. This makes timing a large factor as you have to choose what survivors and missions you want to prioritize during your time in the mall. There are 7 different endings depending on if you complete the cases, rescue enough survivors, or if you even show up at the helipad. Dead Rising's graphics are about what you'd expect, cleaner than the last generation, but not as good as the system was gonna get. Like that they used a cartoony look for the characters instead of super realistic, cause honestly, that just ages better. The music in Dead Rising is mainly the mellow, almost cheerful background that you'd expect in any mall, until you run into a psychopath, cause each of them get their own theme songs, and it's usually rock music. And when we're on the subject of psychopaths, I'd like to mention that I feel that the first Dead Rising has the most reasonable of psychopaths. Now, when I say reasonable, I mean that the incident causes them to feel a need to create a sense of order around them, such as the clown starting up the ride to convince himself that he created a safe place the zombies won't enter. Cause when you get into later games in this series, the psychos just start getting weird.
Clean up! Register 6!
Dead Rising 1 and 2 are the best examples of how to make an open world environment with lots of hidden stuff and random encounters to stumble on. Then add that almost nothing is bolted down, leaves the possibilities feeling endless. But there is honestly one part of Dead Rising I just straight out hated. And that's starting out. You start with such little health and strength that even the most basic zombie feels like a threat to you. But one part of the game that won't be your friend is Otis. He will radio information about survivors and psychopaths. During these transmissions, you need to avoid being hit. Because if you are hit, then the message will be interrupted and Otis will call you back, wasting even more of your time. And if the transmission isn't completed, then you won't get the mission. But hey, if you don't care about the cases or Otis's problems, it's always fun just to explore and fight zombies as you find secrets for experience like breaking plates, running on treadmills, and breaking punching bags. If you want to try something, they'll probably give you points for it. But like the majority of us, I'm sure you'll enjoy completing the game. And completing all cases will unlock overtime mode, which leads to the true ending. And when you complete the true ending, you will unlock Infinity Mode, which is exactly what you'd think it would be, except for a lot worse. Infinity Mode has you explore the mall with a constantly draining health as you go fight survivors for food and supplies. Now that sounds great, but Capcom decided that you don't need a save while in this mode, which makes it too much of a burden to enjoy, even though the beam sword you get from completing day 5 is amazing. But again, that's 2 real hours per day, therefore that is 10 hours of game time, and if you need to take a break, you just have to pause and leave the system running the entire time. Dead Rising was created in the early years of the 360 and is still one of the best games on the system and in the series. This is one of my first loves of the 7th generation of consoles, and is something you should definitely check out if you haven't. But it isn't the best in the series, so I would say that Dead Rising earns itself a 8.5 out of 10. Hey, if you made it this far, I assumed you enjoyed the video. And if you enjoyed the video, I assume you'd like to see more like it. If so, then hit that subscribe button and leave a thumbs up. And if you want to, you can leave a comment. Or not. No one ever does.